I think my friend made me her pseudo-boyfriend, even though she already has a boyfriend of 5 years, because they're currently going through a tough time, and I'm realizing I'm actually in love with her now, and I'm scared that what's happening is going to irrevocably ruin the good friendship that we currently have. Posted by you/no-tire-boyfriend 2013. Apologies in advance for the long post. We've known each other for a few years, but in the past 6 months we've gotten a lot closer. At the beginning of summer, she hung out at my house for about a week. There were 1 or 2 other people who came over as well, but she'd often stay after they left so we could work on stuff for a group we're in. She'd sometimes stay over until 3 a.m. She went abroad for the summer, so we didn't talk much other than a few emails and Facebook posts. We used to hang out before, but in the past few months it has really increased. We went from seeing each other once or twice a week, usually with a group of other people, to seeing each other almost every day, many times just the 2 of us. She started working out with me 3 to 4 days a week, and we often get dinner after, just the 2 of us, and then go play video games or watch TV at my place, sometimes with my roommate, but more often just us. We've started texting pretty much daily, and it's become pretty much an expectation that we hang out on breaks from college. She has left some video game stuff at my place and is borrowing my DVDs. I've also noticed some changes in our relationship in the last few months. There's been a lot more innuendo, a ton more inside jokes, a little bit more physical contact. Once we spent an entire workout tickling each other, she started telling me much more personal stuff, acts much more open and uninhibited around me than with other people, a bit more flirty, etc. She's already making all sorts of plans around us in the future. She wants me to teach her programming next semester, was thinking of getting a summer internship in a faraway state so we could hang out when I travel there for the summer, was disappointed that I was going abroad for a month since she was going to be home and wanted to hang out, etc. The thing is, she has a boyfriend of 5 years. They've been on the rocks for a while, and she's been complaining about him a lot and tells me how she wants to break up with him. But then sometimes when we're hanging out, she'll mention how he spent the night last night, or how she's unsure if she'll break up with him, and once in a while she'll even invite him to hang out with us. All I can say is that if I were her boyfriend, I would be very uncomfortable with how close we've become and the stuff we're doing together. Obviously, she hasn't cheated on him, and she's not the type who would, but the more I think about it, the more uneasy this all makes me. A ton of people have asked me if we are dating. Heck, even her sister, who has never met me and lives on the other side of the country, now knows who I am. She has other guy friends that she's hung out one-on-one with, but not nearly as much, and she said she views one of them as a brother. I recently found out from a mutual friend that she had feelings for me about a year ago, but I don't think she does anymore. Recently, I realized that I'm pretty much in love with her. We get along great, have similar senses of humor, shared intellectual interests, a lot in common, similar values, etc. But when I think about how our relationship has evolved recently, it made me think that I'm just pining for her and hoping she'll come around and feel the same way, while she's using me as a pseudo-replacement for her failing relationship. I care about her deeply and enjoy her friendship, but it just seems like what we have, whatever it is, isn't very healthy for either of us, and I should start distancing myself from her as soon as possible. What do you all think? Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Sounds like you are her best friend. I was in a similar situation a few years ago. When I told her how I felt, she told me I was her closest friend, and that's it. We ended up breaking up as friends because it then got weird. Maybe things will change if she breaks up with the boyfriend, but for now, you're in the friend zone. Ops response. We were friends before all this happened. It could be a coincidence that this all happened while her relationship spiraled downhill, but the fact that she started spending a lot more time with me when her relationship was in trouble seems to indicate that it's a particular type of friendship. The unhealthy pseudo-boyfriend type. Commenter. Yeah, I agree with that, but a pseudo-boyfriend is still a friend. I felt the same way with my friend, everyone commented we were like a married couple. Commenter 2. If it ain't healthy, cut it off. I was in a similar situation, and it ate me up. Ops response. Yeah, it's kind of been eating me up too, so it's probably best that we go our separate ways. Commenter 2. Has she been putting any effort in, or is it an emotional tampon type of thing? Ops response. I'd say 80% of the time I'm initiating stuff, whether it be social activities, restaurants, or whatever, but she usually responds very positively. That's why I think it's unhealthy for both of us, because I'm clearly playing an active role in letting this continue. Commenter 3. It sounds like regardless of whether you're her emotional heatsink or not, you are being used, and you are not able to think rationally about this relationship you have with your friend. Goose, you need to punch out. Take some time away from her and reconsider what the F you are doing, son. This girl is in a relationship. This de facto means she is not available. If she were available, then your next step would be to make a move, but she's not. It's not fair to tell someone to break up with their boyfriend and be with you, regardless of how bad her relationship with that guy might be. But right now, it sure seems like she's getting more out of this than you are, and that is not a good place to be in. Op's response. I'd never ask her to break up with her boyfriend. But your last sentence is absolutely right, she's getting more out of this than I am. Time to punch out. Update 9 days later. Although my original post didn't receive much attention, I thought I'd give an update. I just told her that in 3 weeks I'd be picking up and leaving for the other side of the country to pursue some other opportunities. I'd been thinking about this anyway, it was the right choice for me, and it had the added benefit of separating us when we clearly needed to be separated. We talked about it for a few minutes and then she said, I'm still wrapping my head around this. I don't know what I'm going to do when you're gone. I guess I'll just be indoors playing video games all day, or I'll have to spend more time with boyfriend's name. That pretty much confirmed what I suspected, that I had become her pseudo-boyfriend, since she basically just admitted that the time she spent with me was replacing the time she spent with her boyfriend. We were hanging out in my apartment today when her boyfriend called. He asked her what she was doing, and she just said she was hanging out in the geographic area of my apartment. She didn't mention my name, or what we were doing. Her boyfriend knows who I am and we're kind of sort of friends, we've hung out a few times, she's told him about me, we're Facebook friends, etc. The fact that she didn't tell him more explicitly, well, again it just confirms my suspicions. As I said in my original post, she would never physically cheat on her boyfriend, but we seem to be straying into the territory of emotional cheating. As for how I feel, I think it's for the best that we'll be separated soon. I also thought more deeply about how I feel about her, and I realized that while I do love her, it's more and more becoming a platonic love you feel towards someone you deeply care about than a romantic love. I'm at peace with how things are, and even if I had the opportunity to change them I don't think I would. As for now, we hang out pretty much every day and still get meals together from time to time. I'm pretty sure she spends significantly more time with me than she does with her boyfriend. Even though I had planned to distance myself, I've mentally justified spending time with her now, since in 3 weeks she'll essentially be out of my life forever. Thanks to everyone who responded to the original post and took the time to read this. Over and out. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. You sound like me and my friend Radley. We usually spend 3 to 5 afternoons or nights a week together, depending on work schedules. We drink together, play GTA 5, eat dinner together, and do lots of other things friends do. He's literally my best friend. If I could only choose one, I'd choose him. Neither one of us has girlfriends, but we both got out of really long relationships. Like rubber bands, all the time spent away from each other because of the girlfriend snapped us back together even harder. He's looking into buying a house soon, he's an engineer at Halliburton, and he asked if I'd like to move in to save money. I'm in college. If you replace him with a female, everyone would be asking if I was effing her. I know because I had a female roommate, and everyone did ask. No, I never did, and no, I never will. It's completely, 100% possible to just be friends with a woman, and like never ever feel romantic feelings for her. It really sounds to me like she just thought you were her best friend, and you moved because you didn't want to spend any more time with her because you thought she wanted you as her boyfriend. Op's response. Oh yeah, I've definitely had hardcore bromances before. I guess what makes this different is, she used to have feelings for me. I used to have, and still sort of have, feelings for her. She started spending way more time with me when her relationship started falling apart. She openly, though inadvertently, admitted that she uses the time she spends with me to replace the time she spends with her boyfriend. Commenter 2. Despite you saying I've been thinking about this anyway, it sounds to me like you are moving out of the area to avoid dealing with this issue, and I think you will regret it. Do you have friends where you are going? Do you know anyone? Do you have a large friend group where you are? Have you ever moved before? Why not just tell her how you feel? If she feels the same way, bonus. If not, you have the same result as moving. Either way, you may regret this for a long time to come. Op's response. I've been planning on leaving anyway. Creating a distance between us was just an added bonus, and saved me the trouble of trying to do that while we were in the same geographic area or social groups. I have a few acquaintances and contacts in the region I'm moving to, but it is a pretty new experience for me. Either way, I think it'll be a good learning experience. I don't see the benefit in telling her how I feel. I'm moving regardless, so all it does is unnecessarily complicate things. Commenter 3. I would still do it. I've been in that position before and did what you're doing, with the added complication that we were going to the same university. I left school. I never told her. She was dating a douche clown of a man, it had become long distance, and by the time I saw her next, her boyfriend of 7 years was her ex-boyfriend and she was seeing someone else. 3 months after that, engaged. She finally realized what we had been doing, both felt, both never spoke of, eventually, and asked me if I'd felt that way. When I admitted the truth, it did make things awkward. For a while. She's still married, but now I know that she felt that way and we both regretted our inaction. And I think if she ever did have her marriage go to crap, we'd be together. Friends who can spend the time together that you're talking about are incredibly well matched, and finding a replacement is incredibly difficult. If you're never going to talk to her again, what's the harm? Op's response. Your situation is very similar to mine thus far. It just seems like there's no real upside to telling her. Even if she suddenly breaks down and tells me she feels the same way, the gears have already been set in motion, and I'm still leaving. If she doesn't feel the same way, instead of parting on friendly terms, we parted on awkward and possibly uncomfortable terms. Suppose you had told her right before you left. What would have happened? Do you think it would have actually worked out? In my situation, I'm pretty confident that even if she had feelings for me, she would push them away since she's in a relationship. That sort of reasoning is why she has hesitated to break up with her boyfriend, even though she talks about it almost daily. Second update 2 months 2 weeks later. Hello lads and lasses, I know how much you all like a good update, so here's the final part of the trilogy. This is a really long update that builds on previous stuff, so you'll probably want to revisit the original post and first update before continuing. I tried putting a summary of the previous 2 posts here, but I couldn't write one that accurately captured the whole situation. I recommend reading those posts anyway, because it's hard to get the nuances of the situation without reading them. As I wrote in the previous posts, a new opportunity came up, and I decided to take a big risk, leave everything behind, and move across the country to pursue it. There were some delays, so I ended up moving about 90 miles away, where I would stay for 3 months before moving cross country. She had some family there, so we hung out a few times when she visited, but nothing of note happened. I decided to drive the 90 miles and visit our hometown the weekend after Valentine's Day because it would be the last chance to see all my friends before I moved away for good. She offered to let me crash on her couch, and I agreed. We hung out during the day, and in the evening I went to see some other friends. She and I got dinner together, and then we went back to her apartment. We did end up getting very handsy. No clothes came off, and we didn't make out or anything like that, but at one point she was lying on top of me, and I was playfully squeezing and tickling her all over her body, yes, including all of the off-limits areas, and I mean all of them. This wasn't the first time this kind of thing had happened. We both justified it by saying we were both having fun and playing around, but I think that was because neither of us wanted to admit we had crossed a line and were in a moral gray area at best. Those kinds of mental gymnastics led to some strange situations, like cuddling and holding hands was off bounds, but squeezing her you know what and you know where was totally fine, but only if it was during one of these play sessions, otherwise that was off bounds too. We stopped playing around after some time and got drunk. Neither of us expected that to happen, because we both don't like drinking much, we're the type of people who wouldn't drink on New Year's, etc. We were having a good time, drinking, listening to music, playing video games, and talking. I don't know if it was the alcohol or the realization that this really was our last time together before I moved, probably both, but she opened up to me in a way she never had before. We talked about life and politics, and then eventually her boyfriend came up. She said their Valentine's Day wasn't very romantic and that they had sex that day. She then said that she was no longer sexually attracted to her boyfriend, even though he had gotten more attractive over the years, and that she would often make excuses whenever he tried to initiate sex. Whenever they did have sex, she said she would just lie there and wait for it to be over. She also said her boyfriend thought he was good at sex, but he really wasn't. As you can expect, I was very surprised she was being this open with me. I asked her why she was still with him, especially since both she and all her friends could see she wasn't happy. She said that she did love him, but probably just as a friend, and didn't want to hurt him, and that he was a nice guy. She also felt she was really needy and insecure, which surprised me, because she is one of the least needy girls I've met, and she was afraid that her only choices would be to end up with a douchebag or alone as a crazy cat lady. I told her that I felt she had been spending more time with me to replace her boyfriend because she was unsatisfied with her relationship, and she admitted that was the case. I admitted that I would have asked her out earlier if she were single, and she said she wished we had met before she met her boyfriend. She then said that she knew me leaving was the right decision for me, but that she was going to be really sad when I left. Again, this isn't something she would normally admit. Even though she had plenty of friends, she liked hanging out with me and my friends the most. She said I had inspired her, and that some of the academic and career choices she had made had been influenced by me. Another surprise. We talked about our views on religion, politics, etc., and it turns out that our values are pretty similar on even the most fundamental level. We both agreed that the window of opportunity for the two of us had passed since I was moving away. She said she could never see herself marrying her boyfriend and she didn't want to have his babies, and that the expiration date for their relationship was the day she finished school. I asked, "Does your boyfriend know?" She cut me off and said, "About our tickling and playing around? No. But he wouldn't really care." I was actually going to ask if he knew I was moving, but her answer was revealing in its own way. We were both pretty tired and drunk by this point, so she went to her room to sleep while I slept on the sofa. I left in the morning, yay for no hangover. Drink lots of water before going to bed drunk, Kids. Honestly, I couldn't have expected this to work out any better than it did. It was liberating to finally know how she felt and to tell her how I felt. I mentioned in the last update how my feelings were slowly shifting from romantic to platonic, and I think after this experience we became closer friends. I've had feelings for her for a long time, but now I have the closure I need, and I'm finally ready to move on. Or so I thought. 2 days after I left her place and got back to mine, she sent a late-night text, "Boyfriend," and I broke up. I was completely taken by surprise. Sure, she had spent the whole weekend, and indeed, the last year, complaining about him and how she wanted to break up with him. But she had also told me how she had just effed him not 4 days earlier. She decided to come visit me the next weekend since she had a rough week. I would be leaving a few days after. For some reason, I became really uncomfortable with the fact that they broke up. I don't know why. I guess he had always been a constant. They began dating before I ever met her. Maybe I felt bad because she was hurt and I didn't want her to be. Maybe I felt bad because the thought of more guys hitting on her made me feel sick. I really didn't know. All I did know was that I started to dread her visit, and I kind of wished she would text me saying something came up and that she wouldn't be able to make it. Again, it seemed weird that I would think this. Here's a girl who I had/have feelings for, who admitted she had feelings for me, was now single, and was coming over to my place while my roommates were out of town. I had stupid thoughts go through my head like whether I should kiss her when she comes, but I realized I didn't really want to kiss her. Anyway, I decide, since this really is our last time together and she had had a really rough week, broke up with boyfriend, got rejected for a grant she had been gunning after for years, school not going well, etc., that I'd do whatever I could to make sure she had a good time. Except the plan fell apart almost immediately. We were supposed to get dinner, but she bailed, so instead we got ice cream after she ate dinner. She was supposed to bring the wine, but bailed on that. When we got back to my place, we were supposed to make salsa and guacamole. I even went out and bought all the ingredients, cleaned the cutting board, bought chips, etc., but it was clear she didn't want to do that either. I even spent a few hours setting up an extra bed for her and cleaning the place up in case she wanted to spend the night. We were supposed to be drinking, after all, but that effort went unnoticed. There was more distance between us, both physically, sitting farther away from each other on the couch than we normally do, and conversationally. Things improved throughout the course of the night. Eventually, she started talking about what happened. Her boyfriend and she had a fight, and he broke up with her. She begged him not to break up with her, and the next day she was glued to her phone, hoping he would call or text her and take her back. Then she said she went to a martial arts class with a buff guy she found really attractive, and she enjoyed wrestling with him, and she wasn't sure how to flirt with him since she had been together with her boyfriend for 4 years. Honestly, I found the whole situation to be kind of messed up. She had basically set up a timetable to break up with her boyfriend, when she finished school, and when he messed it up by abruptly breaking up with her, she was begging him to take her back. There were times when we would hang out and she would be complaining about him, he would call, she would roll her eyes, and then answer in a lovey-dovey tone. Anyway, we ended up lying on my bed, no cuddling or anything like that, and watching Netflix, and we did have a pretty good time. There was also an opportunity for playtime, like in our previous visits, but at this point I really didn't want to. It got pretty late, so we got into my car and I dropped her off. When we reached her house, she has family that lives here, so it was a short drive. Our goodbye was pretty much, "Good luck with everything, have a good life," and shaking hands. She handed me a note and then got out of my car. When I got back, I read the note. It was 3 sentences referencing inside jokes we made, and her saying I was welcome to sleep on her couch if I was ever in town. And that was it. When I reflected on our friendship, I realized that she got way more out of it than I did. I was always inviting her to events at my place, offering her rides, teaching her stuff like weightlifting and HTML, helping her with computer issues, supporting her when she ran for president in an organization we were in, etc. On her birthday, I went through a lot of effort to get her an awesome gift, made a really cool card, and when I was leaving, I gave her an awesome parting gift and made her a playlist that referenced all of our inside jokes. I always had her back, not because I wanted to be with her or expected anything in return, but because that's what good friends are supposed to do. The only thing I could ever think of her doing was letting me sleep on her couch 1 or 2 times, and paying for my ice cream that night. This was a friendship where I kept giving, and she was sort of sucking me dry. After she left, I realized that I'm no longer in love with her. If she wasn't giving to one of her closest friends, she certainly wouldn't be giving in a relationship, or even in bed for that matter. I was in love with the idea of being with a girl who I connected with, since most girls I've met aren't my type, and we connected really well. But she's got a bunch of issues she needs to work out. I still care about her a lot, but I'm kind of glad I won't be seeing much of her anymore. It turns out she got a summer temp job in a city 8 hours from where I'll be, so she said she'd come up for a weekend during my birthday. We have a lot of fun together, and I'm sure I'll be happy to see her then, but even if I weren't moving, I wouldn't let this weird relationship continue. one where we are closer than what regular friends should be, see playtimes, but not close enough to be boyfriend/girlfriend or even FWBs. I think I still love her, but only as a friend and well-wisher who hopes she figures things out and ends up happy, because it's clear she isn't happy right now. I like to view successes as good times and failures as learning experiences, and I certainly learned a lot from this. She was the first girl I ever had deep feelings for, and because of all this, I'll be able to handle similar situations much better in the future. I wouldn't change much even if I could, because mistakes are the way we grow as people. Tomorrow, I board a plane to go to a new city and start building my new life. Here's to success in love, work, and life. Thanks for reading. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Oh gob, I was reading and hoping the entire time that you didn't F her. Ops response. That would have been a mess. I wondered the night before she came over to my place what would happen if things started heading in that direction. Not too much earlier, I would have jumped on the opportunity, but at this point, if she had wanted to, I would have said no. Commenter 2. I applaud you. You're definitely a strong guy. Many men would have caved. Ops response. Thanks. It wasn't easy, but I think I made the right decision.